when I think at the beginning of this, we said, or was this my conversation earlier? People talk about the psychedelic movement. No, there's not a psychedelic movement. There are psychedelic movements. One family of drugs, but they're different people that are using them for completely opposite reasons. Michael Pollan is using them. Michael Pollan has been appointed to use them as part of this MKUltra, which actually comes from, the German mind control, ultra mind control. How do you subdue an entire society? Well, Huxley gave this, predicted this and brought it about in his first book, Brave New World. A totalitarian society, a pyramid. All the wealth is controlled by these very small people at the top and all these people down here at the bottom. And they don't rebel because when they get unhappy, they're ordered to go on a holiday where they live in psychedelic drugs and they go to Burning Man.
That's right.
They go to something like Burning Man where they fuck their brains out. They take these quasi psychedelic drugs that make it feels like everything is okay with cosmic oneness and everything is fine. And then they go back to work on Monday and they don't need to start a revolution or register voters or anything like that. And that's the plan that they're enacting here.
That's right.
Trust in authorities, trust in the government. There's nothing about social change in there. It's about feeling better.
Yes.
Using psychedelics to cure depression, make you happy. Happy people don't revolt. That's what they're doing. and then just to go back to Pollan for a second, the dead giveaway in Pollan is, he writes this little thing about when he's interviewing for a psychedelic guide, and he goes to see Ralph Metzner. Now, I loved Ralph. He was like a big brother to me. And he was one of the very few, one of the only, Ralph and I, only prominent people in the psychedelic field who have voiced concerns about 9/11. Everybody else has just gone along with this thing. Here are these drugs that they say they give you a religious consciousness and you'll feel all as one, compassion and empathy for life. But they don't even pay attention to 9/11. They're American taxpayers. They're funding this genocidal war machine. Or they love Obama, who's dropped more bombs than any president in history. And they're like, it's all about 9/11. And Pollan talks about going to see Ralph Metzner in his book. And Ralph started talking about 9/11.
Oh.
And Pollan thought he was nuts and just dismisses him. One of the most respected and knowledgeable people in this entire field just writes him off because he was a 9/11 truth activist. And that's how
Yes. That's the red pill. That's the irony, is that, truly an event that was a sacrificial mass ritual to enslave humanity, to create the Holocaust in the Middle East, where it's going to leave, millions of children orphaned and their bloodlines are being executed by being toxified by depleted uranium munitions. All of this chaos that was whipped up by these secret societies, you would have to look at that and the whole can of worms, the Pandora's box would fly open. And Pollan, I'm sure, is appreciating his soma-induced trance state where he can be famous, he can be gain accolades and praise wherever he goes. He's on the biggest podcast in the world. He's a best-selling author. So it's a lot. It reminds me of actually the Bible where Satan tempts Jesus. And he's like, if you just bow down and worship me, I'll give you the world. And I think a lot of people, consciously or not, that's the choice they make. Because, if they cared about America, I still see those people jumping out of those buildings on that day. I was 22 and I could not put my head back together and go back to sleep. And so I don't, and before I'd ever done any psychedelics, I'd had lucid dreaming experiences. So I think mysticism is something we are all wired with the potential to experience, but the calcification of the pineal gland via mass fluoridation has probably numbed a lot of us. And
Yeah.
so they've come up with this strange hybrid where you can be, it's a lot like being woke, right? It
Yeah.
means nothing versus being awake. And of course, if one strain or movement gains more momentum than the other, they'll infiltrate and try to rewrite history on the fly, as Mr.
Yep.
Pollan's done.
Yep. Yep. We're seeing the same scenario.